Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our final of 3 very close together live videos.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful day here in Austria. We're still here. And we're going to be here for another 2 days, and 2 days only.
And then we head to the boat. And when we get to the boat, if there's internet, we'll do another live chat thing, stream, words.
Otherwise, it's going to be a long time until we see you guys in this format again. But this has been really fun. And we can't wait to talk about our top 10 worst anchorages.
Yes. But first, to introduce the show.
The intro.
Yes.
Going where the fair winds blow, our home is where the waters flow. We'll show you what we've come to know on board while sailing wisdom. Now we can begin.
Yes. So, last time we talked about what makes a good anchorage. This time we're going to be talking about what makes a bad anchorage. And it's pretty much the opposite of a good anchorage, naturally. Does that make sense?
It is the opposite of what we said last week.
Yeah, so like instead of the sand, or instead of the bottom being mud or sand, something nice, this would be rocks, weeds, pebbles, just stuff that you don't want to do.
Something that any anchor would have trouble setting in, or would get tangled in or whatever. So
and random debris or sunken ships and all sorts of other crud that could be down there. That's really bad.
Yeah, that your anchor could catch on and make it difficult to pull it back up.
Yep.
The other thing is there's no protection from wind or weather.
Yeah, or you have like a constant swell that comes in and stuff like that. Like, it's not very nice.
And then the depth would be not uniform at all. So
yeah, pretty much like imagine if like there's a little narrow spot or a little shallow spot and you can anchor on that. You put your anchor right there and then your anchor drags off into nothing. And then your anchor's just dangling down there in the water. Yeah, you're no longer anchored. So that's not a good thing for an anchorage.
There's very little swing room.
Yeah, so pretty much if the winds or tide change or something, you swing around, if you're going to bash into things with your boat, it's bad. It's bad.
Very crowded, lots of other boats anchored very close together.
No.
Not ideal.
No. And then you also, the shore access. Like you can be, we like to be either very remote and it's beautiful because you're in nature, or easy shore access and you can get the shore and there it is and it's great.
But a lot of these really bad anchorages we're going to talk about today include really terrible shore access.
Yeah, like for example in the Wakama, we never tried to go to shore because there were alligators in that water, so not going to happen. But these places, there's shore access, there's stuff to do on shore, there's just no way to actually properly get there.
And then the last thing is the tide and current.
Which means that European anchorages win here.
Really high tidal differences.
And really strong currents. They just, you can be anchored and everything's fine, there's no wind, but your boat's just like yanking on the chain because the current's so strong. It's no bueno. No.
So that's what makes up a really bad anchorage. If you want to check out our video about really good anchorages, we did that last week and we'll provide the link in the description of this video. There are also going to be links to every episode in which
the bad anchorage happens.
Yes, in which the bad anchorage that we will be talking about happens. So there will be 10 episodes in the description of this video, each one talking about specific anchorages that we'll be discussing.
Now, this time, Maddie told me that that's going to be in there, so I already put them there. So don't cheat and look ahead.
Yes.
Okay, so number one, bad anchorage.
The worst anchorage we have ever come across. And it's a very popular anchorage.
And beautiful.
It might surprise some of you.
Many reasons to go to this place. Just don't anchor here.
Okay.
That is me.
This is a picture of Herbie in our terrible anchorage. And this is a picture of a giant bundle that our anchorage caught on. Hey, Down East Thunder Creations, welcome.
So what happened was there used to be a mooring screw down there, those helical screws. The top broke off, the screw was just left down there. Somebody's anchor hooked on it. and they couldn't get their anchor up, so they just, cut their road. Someone else hooked on it, and like 10 people hooked on this thing.
And cut their roads.
Yeah, and cut their roads. And the important part, if you look here, see this little yellow guy running there? That is the 160-foot mark on our chain, which means we had 160 feet of chain beyond that thing. So we weren't cutting our road because way too much money in that.
So further pictures of this to show just the grandiose nature of what we brought up.
Yes. So
You
that
may
is
be
me.
you may be wondering how on earth we lifted this.
And the answer is our halyard right there. So I hooked into some rope that was on it and just cranked it up. Now, this is one more reason why it's really important to always have. Oh, hello from
Hi,
Scotland.
Stephen.
So it's really important to have your halyard able to reach the water, because I just took our halyard down to this thing, hooked onto it, and then cranked it up with the winch, because this weighed hundreds of pounds.
It was so gross and dirty and smelly.
Now,
So big reveal. This was right outside of Charleston, South
Yes.
Carolina. A beautiful place to visit. Highly recommend it for any cruisers.
but don't anchor right here.
In the
This is
main
bad.
anchorage, the designated anchorage for Charleston.
And we were directly across from this pier. So pretty much this area, you're going to find that thing because we put it back. Catch and release. So a lot of people asked us, why didn't you take it somewhere proper? That way someone doesn't foul their anchor on it. Well, here's the issue. You got like 600 pounds swinging around your foredeck. We were trying to catch the tide. We had no way to get into a marina or land. And let's face it, no marina wants us to bring that in and give that problem to them.
There was just no
Yeah.
no safe, easy way to dispose of it. So we dropped it back in, left a big old note on Navionics, and hopefully
Yes.
it's actually a known problem.
Yeah, so on Navionics, it actually tells you, warning, lots of fouled junk down there.
Debris.
Yeah.
Which we didn't heed, and we paid for it. So that is our worst anchorage because, there it is.
Yes. So here's a little note that says many things. A little too long to read right now. But the other big issue, this place has sunken boats in it. And while we were anchored there were actually masts sticking out of the water. So just not good. Now, it's got some really nice things like a flat uniform bottom that's a little on the deep side. It's 20-some feet deep. You got a bridge there that you don't have to worry about because it's like super high up. But the current there was insane. Like really, really strong.
Yeah.
Like, nuts.
We had to time our departure and return to the boat accordingly because we
Yeah.
still didn't have a motor for our
we
dinghy.
were rowing, which
We were rowing.
the other problem. So you anchor here. Dinghy dock is somewhere in this area, but you can't go straight through. You have to go all the way down. Actually, all the way up this way, and then back down.
It was a long journey to the dinghy dock.
Yeah, it was about a mile
Yeah,
of rowing.
it
So
was a
you
lot.
really had to count the current. 'Cause
And we were
otherwise-
bringing our bikes in too.
Yeah, it was a trip.
So that was a challenge. Definitely why it is our number one worst anchorage.
Yep, that was Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes. Our number 2 worst anchorage is another one that a lot of people have shared our complaints with,
Yeah.
and that is Solomon's Island.
So Solomon's.
And to give you an idea of how long ago this was, that's
Oh yeah, that's Maddie's
my
hair.
hair. Yeah.
Been about 3 years, I think.
Hi, Tilo.
Hello, Tilo.
Welcome back to your apartment.
Oh yes. Huge shout out to Tilo for
Yes.
letting us stay in here during this whole COVID lockdown business.
Mhm. Hi, Greg. Awesome. Thanks for
Oh
coming.
yes. So
They do have nice
so a lot of
marinas.
these places have nice marinas, and honestly, we anchor everywhere, but when we go back to these places,
Yeah.
we're not anchoring there.
Right,
We're doing the marina.
If you can afford to tie up at the marina in Charleston, I really think that's your best bet for visiting the city.
Yeah, because the city, Charleston was awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
It was one of our favorite places down
Yeah.
the ICW. It was just a terrible anchoring experience.
Yep.
So Solomon's Island.
Solomon's, yes.
Solomon's is a really cool place to visit. There isn't a whole lot going on there, but it's just really pretty. And there's a place to drink wine and,
It's got some fun things.
yeah.
Now, as far as anchorages go, this place looks amazing. like it's super protected. You come up this river and you go all the way in here, and it's like you have protection from wind and swell. Like it's great in there.
It's plenty deep.
Yeah,
There's
and
lots of room.
It's on the shallower side, so like you don't have to put out as much chain. Like it's got some really good things going for it. Now it is crowded because everyone loves going there, and they like built a million marinas out into the water, so there's even less water to anchor in.
But we were there on peak season, and we didn't have any problem with room. Big problem though.
So the
soft
holding
mud.
Yeah, it's mud, which is good, but
power boats.
Lots of power boats in Solomon's. So it's soft mud. So like the anchor goes in, like, oh yeah, this is fine. 3 days later, you're like, man, I'm really close to that marina.
Or those trees or anything. We dragged every day.
Yeah, it was a little bit. So like every 3 to 4 days, we'd re-anchor
mm-hmm.
and drag like about 100 feet. So thankfully the wind was consistent. So, it's always going. So the fact that the holding was not a drag, but just a slow drag, like a creep or a crawl on the bottom.
It's not good.
No.
Anytime when you hear multiple people talking about the terrible holding in that area, it's not a good place to go, because if everyone's dragging, then there's a very high risk of dragging into each other.
Yep.
And we happened to be rafted also when we were in Solomon, so we had like double weight and it
double windage.
Yeah, it wasn't good. There was a time when we woke up and we were so close to the trees, it was very alarming.
Yep. So that was Solomon's. Now, like I was showing with the map on the Navionics chart, it's beautiful in there. So we anchored in this this basin up here and over here. Sorry, mirror image for me. So we anchored up in this area, and it was very nice.
Really nice biking and walking along there. It's just a terrible anchorage.
The other issue is getting to shore. So everything is owned. It's all private. So you can't just take it. Yep. So Xanasers I think it's Xanagers. It's something with a Z. That's the place that you can take your dinghy. So no matter where you anchor, you have to go there to then get the shore. So that's
which as a newbie, we took a while to figure that out. So we were kind of anchoring from dinghying from marina to marina and being like, is it okay here?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah. So that took a while. And we're rowing because
back when we're
still crazy, but
yeah, we didn't have an outboard until the Bahamas. So that gives you an idea. So our next place is we're traveling across the ocean for this one. We're going into Cadiz
in
Spain. Yes.
So beautiful place, ancient city that's just gorgeous, and huge wide open anchorage. So it's got like a flat uniform bottom. It's really good holding. There's plenty of water. Like there's current, but it's not horrible. Like it was quite nice there.
Well, it was kind of choppy.
It was a little choppy.
It was such a wide basin.
Yeah.
It's really wide.
It's like over a mile wide.
Yeah. There were three other boats in there, and they all looked tiny to each other. We were all very far apart, which is nice.
Yeah, so not a crowded anchorage.
Mm-hmm. However, it was so far from anything. And Cadiz is really not a cruiser-friendly place.
No.
There's no access to the actual old city. You have to walk miles to get there.
No, but literal miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or kilometers if you're in Europe.
Yes. So this is the old city of Cadiz. So this is where you want to go. Your anchorage is over here. So you literally need to walk all the way in. That's fine. And then the other big issue, this marina here was the only one with a dinghy dock, and it's not advertised. And the marina didn't really want to do paperwork, and to bring your dinghy in every day and all that, you have to like pay and stuff, because dinghy dock. But you also have to do your passports and all this paperwork, and they didn't want to. So that every day they'd be like, "Oh, is this your first time here, and you're only here for today, right? Because I no paperwork." We're like, "Yep."
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, like, you have to get through a gate and get buzzed, so like trying to track down the guy, and it was.
And you did have to pay, right? You had to pay.
No, we never paid in Cadiz.
Really?
Yeah, Cadiz.
I thought we did.
Yeah, that's later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because every day was our only day and our first day. If you're there multiple days, you had to pay.
Right.
Now, I don't know if the guy was just sly and like coaxing us on or coaching us on how to say things, or just actually thought it was our first day there every day.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
don't know.
We were there for a long time, about a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, so Cadiz, like I said, not cruiser friendly at all. A, because of the no access that we just talked about. And B, because there's no chandlery. We looked for chandlery for like 3 days and never found, and people were actually very rude to us.
Well, yeah, it's an issue we've found in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
But-
didn't have a great experience
Yeah.
there. Cadiz itself is a beautiful city, and there are certain aspects of it that are really worth visiting, but maybe not by sail.
Yeah, and also if you go, you have to know Spanish, because when we were getting our dinghy dock, there was a British couple that was leaving because they just got told by the exact same place that there is no dinghy dock, because the guy didn't want to try English. He just straight up said, nope, no dinghy dock here. And then they asked us, where are you going? And we explained, and then they followed us and everything was fine. Because I translated, because Spanish. But
It was
so that was
yeah.
annoying.
So it was super long dinghy ride, just
Yeah. Oh, well,
just to get to that place that was then a really far walk.
yeah, the dinghy
from
ride
Cadiz.
it was pushing a mile.
Luckily
really
we had our
far.
motor,
Yeah.
but it got a little
Output.
scary because one time the fog rolled in.
Oh yeah.
And it was so foggy, we were worried we wouldn't be able to find our boat again.
Yeah, so before we left, I put a little marker where our boat is,
On
roughly,
Navionics.
on Navionics, and then we used Navionics to get to shore because we couldn't see.
We couldn't see anything.
Now, the really cool thing, so Cadiz is thousands of years old, literally. Like the main city, which starts over here, was established around the year 1000 as like a main city.
It was actually the main tour.
Now, was it 1000 BC?
No,
Is 80?
80.
Okay.
It was the main trading port of Spain, and so all American trade came through there.
Or Americas.
Of the Americas, yes. And it was extremely popular. That later became Sevilla. They kind of stole the thunder for becoming the main trading port, and now it's a huge cruise ship destination.
Yeah, well, so what's really awesome is the city started down here, and the docks were, fishing and commerce and boat trade. And then as boats got bigger, because technology evolved, they made the docks bigger. So like it used to be sailboats came in there, and now it's these giant cargo ships that come in there. So like the downtown is actually an industrial port. There is nothing for cruisers.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, is then you come in as a cruiser and it's like, well, too bad.
There were groceries kind of nearby. It was still kind of a long walk.
Yeah.
It just wasn't ideal.
Yeah, and now this marina here, you cannot go in there in your boat.
Right.
Because it's only for fishing boats, and like really small fishing boats. So that was a bummer. But some nice things. You can anchor, and it's all a uniform depth. But the problem you can see is it's really shallow, really far out. So like we anchored like way over this area.
Yeah.
Because
it was far.
Yeah.
Because we have a 6.5 foot keel.
And then the tide there is about 10 feet. So if you are coming in and you're like, oh, great, it's 12 feet
deep. Yeah, the tide was huge.
You're gonna be on the bottom.
So, I mean, as far as bad anchorages go, it had things not going for it were the tide.
The current.
It was pretty choppy in there because it was such a wide basin. And there was very bad access to anything of interest.
Well, okay, so there were actually two options for getting to shore. The primary option was a place that was like, come here, do all your paperwork, but it was a 2-mile dinghy ride to them, and we could not anchor.
And there was no anchorage.
Yeah, so they told me on the radio, try that marina that we used.
Yeah.
By the bridge. So, yeah.
We learned pretty fast why a lot of cruisers skip over Cadiz.
Yeah, there really was like nothing set up for a cruiser to get to shore. So.
All right, next.
Speaking of tides.
All right. Here we go. This is kind of a big one. This is Ocean Isle.
Bam!
Question. How many of these issues did you know ahead of time, and how many did you just discover when you got there? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Most of these we discovered when we got there.
Yeah, the land access issues were when we got there.
Yeah. Because you look on the charts and you see, oh, this. Well, for Kai's, we knew it was going to be far because it was the only option.
Oh,
hey guys, thanks
hi,
for the help the other night. Hi, Bonnie. Good to see you.
Yeah, so I look at the bathymetry, see, what's going to make for good anchorage. And then you also look on Navionics and you see a bunch of people saying, like, these are good anchorages. Well, it turns out that some people literally sail, anchor there, and then get up the next day and then keep going into the Med. They don't ever go to shore there. So it's a good anchorage to stop and sleep. That's it.
So there are a lot of things to consider when you're reading the Navionics little tidbits, because everybody cruises differently and everybody cruises for different reasons. So what might be a really fantastic anchorage for one person is really bad for another. But things like Solomon's and Charleston are going to be bad for anybody, which is why we put them first.
Yeah, they were just bad bottoms.
Yeah. And
so like,
again,
that makes the anchoring
we kind of
hard.
knew that was going to be a thing for Charleston. We really didn't know the extent, though. Not at all.
Yeah.
Did not expect that.
Yeah, that was a fun surprise.
We were like, oh, maybe we'll get fouled on an anchor and it won't be such a big deal. But pulling up that crazy thing was insane.
Oh,
Navily.
Yeah. Hugo Santos said, search Navily app. Yes, we've been using Navily over here in Europe because it's really good here in Europe. It's
very useful.
Yeah.
Quite, Jesse. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're talking. Okay, so here's Ocean Isle, guys.
Yes.
This was our worst ICW experience.
Yeah. So this was the Super Blue Blood Moon.
So the ICW is already bad for anchoring anywhere, just because of the extreme tides and
so
currents.
In the Carolinas, the tides get pretty hefty, and then with the Super Blue Blood Moon, there was an epic tide, and we actually saw marinas sitting on the ground dry.
So
that was a red flag.
What happened here? This isn't.
All right, this wasn't a designated anchorage.
Right.
It's that with our little electric motor going at about the speed of the current.
This is more of a bad anchoring experience than a bad anchorage.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because it was the very beginning of our channel and we were following some really bad advice from some people who had commented on how much chain to let out.
Hello, Melinda.
Hey, Melinda.
Yeah, so we always anchor with 7-1. If it's somewhere where that we have to do short scope, we do 5-1. And people were commenting that was unsafe because the chain would hook on stuff or whatever.
Normally we're very receptive to criticism, so we were like, okay, maybe there's so many people telling us that we're anchoring wrong, maybe we really are.
So what happens is all the literature that says 7-1 or even 10-1 is all from
really, Hugo?
is all from really old anchors that weren't good, and now we have these modern anchors that are super high holding power. So for example, if you go from a plow to a mantis, the anchor does a lot better, so you don't need as much chain. So people were telling us to do 3-1. So we tried 4-1 because I just couldn't bring myself to only letting out 3-1 scope. And with the strong current, we dragged. And we dragged from our little hidey hole that had some water to just this little knoll.
So
at high tide.
It was high tide when we dragged, but we got stuck. We hit bottom.
Yep.
And by the time, and we did call the tow company.
We tried to get off before the tide went out, but the tide was out too far by the time they got there, so we were there.
So we were there, and all we could do was just sit in the boat and just feel it, our entire world turn 45 degrees. It was the weirdest.
Yeah.
It was really funny. But so uncomfortable. Please press thumbs up, everyone.
Oh yes. Yeah. If you guys want a thumbs up, we got 16 thumbs up, and there's 57 of you guys watching. So we're watching. Oh yeah. So how do you make dinner at 45 degrees? Is you wait for the tide to come back.
Yeah, I think we didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we had cheese. We had
a
lot of cheese, actually. There's a picture of me eating cheese on here.
Yeah.
So here we are with it all the way out at 45 degrees.
Yep. That's
we actually stepped out of the boat to take that picture.
So
there I am eating cheese.
Eating cheese, standing inside the boat. Oh, wait.
Okay, so this is a picture I took of Herbie cleaning the bottom from.
Yeah, so I got out and started walking around.
Yeah.
Because why not?
And there we are.
Yep. Over all the way, nice and dry. Now, here's the question. That happens. What do? You clean it.
So a lot of people actually beach their boat like this on purpose in order to clean the boat. It's something that you can do with a full keel.
Yeah, it's called careening. You can do it with a fin keel.
You can?
You can do it with anything.
Oh, okay.
You shouldn't, really.
Well, don't give bad advice.
Do it with a boat that you know the keel is super strong and can take all that torquing on it.
And it's very important also to situate your boat so that when the tide comes back up, the boat will not fill up and sink.
Yeah, so you want to do it on an area that's got a nice flat bottom, because if you're like on the edge of a channel and like into the channel, tide goes out, that happens, tide comes back, the boat's going to fill with water, and then you sink.
It's a very effective way to
It's
clean
bad.
the boat. But if you are a full-time liveaboard
It
on
sucks.
said boat, it's really bad because all the cabinets open up and everything shifts and things were just falling out of everything, and it was so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
But it was also really funny.
Yeah, so
this is where we were.
Yeah, so we anchored right here because we were across from these people that were having a fun time looking at us, and we saw that little condo thing. And now on the bottom, so this is a channel, so you can't anchor in the channel. So we found this little bleb here.
Which is what we did all down the ICW.
Yeah, we did that
found
for like
little
1,000
blebs.
miles.
Yeah.
Going along, there's like a section that, hey, the water's deep outside the channel, so we'd anchor there.
And we really had to anchor frequently because the current would, we didn't have a strong enough motor, still don't, to fight such an intense current. So
Yeah.
every time the current shifted
We stopped.
to be not in our favor, we had to anchor.
Yeah, so pretty much when we motored down the ICW, since our motor's electric and we have a tiny battery bank, what we'd do is we'd raise anchor and drift with the current and have enough motor to maintain steerage, which meant we were really slow. We were going like 2 to 3 knots most of the time.
It was rough.
Yeah, and then if the tide changes, well, you start going backwards, so
Mhm.
no point.
So, this isn't like,
That's not good advice for the ICW.
Yeah.
Don't do it that way.
I wouldn't do it that way if I were you, but for our circumstances, it was mandatory. How
So,
many kW is your motor?
Our motor is 20 kilowatts, and it can push the boat at hull speed, so we can go 7.5 knots.
For like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the problem. We just don't have the batteries.
Yeah.
So we'll eventually get the batteries
When
they come down in price. and we can
when
afford them.
production becomes more affordable, we
Yeah.
will then be able to get better batteries.
Oh, thanks,
Aw,
Greg.
thank you, Greg. Gosh, you're so generous. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the ICW.
Yeah.
I think that's our last bad anchorage that we listed for. No, it's not.
Nope. So
Okay.
the bad anchorage there was literally the tide issue.
Yeah.
It's just we got beached. It was a pretty bad time.
It was just a fun story to share.
Yes.
It was
So
the worst anchorage experience we've had.
yeah. So save your comments for your stories of horrible anchorages, but start remembering them.
Yeah,
Because at
'cause
the
we
end we're
wanna
gonna
hear
read
them.
them, and yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be good.
Don't worry, the BDs. We're just happy you're here.
Okay. So this one. This is in the berries. This is between
Much
Great
more
Stirrup.
gorgeous than it actually was.
Yeah, this is Great Stirrup and Little Stirrup. So this is the beautiful view,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what it actually looks like. So they're cruise ship islands.
So
But we didn't know that.
yeah, okay. A lot of things about this anchorage made it really bad. We came in because it looked like a perfect anchorage because,
Yeah.
oh, look at these beaches. You're right there.
Yeah.
You've got all this beach access and a nice protected area.
He blows money on Herbie jerky. That is
Ah!
that is a good way to do it.
That's
'cause the
fine.
Stuff is really tasty.
Yeah, so, yeah, it looked ideal. It looked really
Yeah.
nice.
So on the charts, the Berry Islands, we've been told that they were just gorgeous and like go to the berries. So,
And we listed an anchorage that we had in the berries in one of our best anchorages in that episode, and
Yeah.
it really, really was. This, however,
was the Bad Berry Island.
yeah.
So we anchored in here, this little guy, because we thought, okay, let's start at the top. We'll work our way through the berries. It'll be beautiful. We'll like anchor, day sail to the next island. Just have a great time.
And we knew that there was a storm coming, so we were like, all right, this will provide some protection.
Yeah, so it's a great hole. You have an amount of protection from the north, and then good protection from all the other directions. So we had good protection from swell-ish.
So the problem was actually
that the storm was directly from the north.
And we had terrible protection from swell.
So
it was really rough. We were just
around.
riding out a storm. It was horrendous. But that lasted like 4 days and was awful. We never left the boat. Finally, everything clears up. Beautiful sunshine. We're so excited to see our first Bahamian islands and have this amazing experience. And we dinghy all the way to this little island that looks so idyllic.
And a guy comes out to greet us and tell us, go away. Yeah. And we're like, what? And
he's like, this is private. You can't come here. It's private.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, that stinks. Like, oh man. Like, so the whole island was owned by a cruise ship. So then we're like, oh, all right. Well, we'll go over to this other island.
Probably this cruise ship. Now, the funny thing, when we were there, this pier did not exist yet. So.
So we dinghy. At this point, we have our motor, thank goodness. We putter on over to another island close by. Big sign right where we beach our dinghy. No access. Private island. Owned by,
I think it was Norwegian or someone or
one
something.
of the crew. Princess. It might have been Princess. Anyway, owned by a cruise ship.
Yep.
Well, finally, we went to one more, and it also was owned by a cruise ship, but we needed fuel. So we had this little adventure.
Just told them we need fuel, and they sold us fuel, and then we left.
But... Okay, Kevin. Hey, good. Yeah, good to hear from you, though. I'm glad you were able to be here. Hugo says you can have a generator for emergencies.
Yeah, so we actually, they're talking about the issue of range issues with the electric motor, and that's how we got down the ICW, was we ran a generator.
Yeah.
So you motor, you generate. You motor, you generate. So you still listen to the putter.
So we ran. So we got fuel on this other island. This guy was like, he like took Herbie on a golf cart into the back part of the island.
That's when I realized we went into this island, and it's like a little mini town in there. It was weird.
But it's all the people who lived on that island worked for the cruise ship company to keep the beaches pristine and pick up sticks and keep the resort keep the
appearances up.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
So the problem was we anchored in the spot that we could not go anywhere. We couldn't get to shore, and that stunk. So
this was a terrible anchorage, and I highly do not recommend it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if you instead of anchoring here, come down and go into this big bay. This you can anchor in, you can go to shore. There's a gorgeous creek down in here where there's nurse sharks and sea turtles. And that was really awesome. So we were so close.
We were so close.
But so bad for so many days.
So that was number 5, which means we are halfway through.
Yep.
And I'd like to take this moment to ask everybody on here to like this video.
Give us a thumbs up.
We'll give you a sec. Just watching those likes. Still 36.
Yay.
Thanks, guys. That means a lot. It really helps the YouTube algorithm for us to receive views and likes. So that really
pretty
helps.
much if we put out a video that doesn't do well.
Estrella de mar. It's so hard for me to say that word.
Estrella de mar.
Yes.
It's starfish.
I know. This every time. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for your likes. We really appreciate it. Who the hell clicked the dislike button? That is an excellent question.
So I guess YouTube wants us to stay happy and doesn't show us that there are dislikes.
Yeah, we can't see that. Well, that's fine. You know what? Anything counts to YouTube. So even the dislike is good for us. But don't do that.
Yeah. All right, so... Moving on. Number 6. Back across the ocean again.
We're heading to Gibraltar, but not really.
Which actually, so this is actually our most recent video that just went out. 2 days ago.
On Sunday.
Yes.
So if you just, we put out regular episodes every single Sunday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard. That's when we put out our story.
Our episodes.
So this past Sunday, we put out our episode about Gibraltar. And it talks all about this anchorage.
Yes.
But we're going to tell you about it right now.
Yep.
Hi, Paige and Laurie.
Oh, varnish. Okay, so Pate is taking a break from varnishing his brickwork, and so we're in this house, and I can't varnish anything, and it's really like
He's having varnish
withdrawal.
withdrawal.
Like seriously, I've woken up thinking that I was varnishing the wood, and then I realized
I
I'm
didn't
in a
know
house.
that.
Yeah, it's been sad. But that's why. So I told her like when we get back, one of our projects is going to be to varnish the rubber
He
rail
did say that.
because I dreamt about it all night. Just gotta sand it.
I'll just
Yes.
lift this back up here. All right, so here's Gibraltar. This is the rock. This is the view from when you take the cable car up to the top of the rock.
Yep.
And that
Little tiny spot.
is
speck.
our boat.
Yes.
So that's our anchorage. And you can kind of see, there we are.
And importantly, you can see maybe the windsweptness. Can you move that cup? The windsweptness of the sea.
That's a word.
Because the sea was windswept.
It was bad.
It was really bad. So yeah.
Here's the thing about Gibraltar. It's so heavily trafficked by cruisers, and there's a good reason. It's an amazing place. But you can only access Gibraltar, the actual peninsula of Gibraltar, by marina. So
Yeah.
there's no actual
Yeah.
anchorage.
The British area does not have any anchorages, only the Queensway Marina,
And the marina is exceedingly expensive.
which is why we did not go there.
Because we can't afford it. So we
Anchored in La Linea in Spain.
looked up and saw that this was really the only viable anchorage for us in the
Yes.
area. And it is in Spain, so every time we had to go into Gibraltar, we crossed the border from
Yeah,
Spain
so we
to,
had to go into Spain.
the UK.
Yeah.
And it was a long walk just to get to the border from La Linea.
So Pate asked how much was it per foot. I
Mm.
don't remember, but it was really expensive. I think it was, so they do it by meter here, and I want to say it was around 20 euros per meter.
It was only
It's-
super yachts
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
There was like super expensive boats. We went in there first because we thought that's where you checked in.
And then we were looking at all the gorgeous boats.
And we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
And there wasn't actually a place to dock our dinghy there. There was no dinghy dock in the marina. And so we like tied up to a piling and climbed up.
It was an adventure. It's in the episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you come into Gibraltar, all of this is Spain. This little runway divides Spain from England. All right, sorry. Britain. I
The
recently
UK.
learned, yes, the UK. The UK. We keep calling it England. Sorry. To all the Brits and Scots.
And UKians.
And yes. So this is the marina area stuff. And then up here, this is where you anchor. So you have this nice big basin to anchor in, which you got lots of protection from the south, the east, and the north, but nothing from the west. So like you technically have this little piece of Spain that hangs down. So the fetch that I'm being boring. Sorry guys. The fetch that forms is only what happens in the harbor, but it's so big in there that it's bad.
We got absolutely
Well-
soaked every time we dinghied in. We actually
Yeah.
wore our foulies over our clothes in order to just
Get to
dinghy
shore.
into shore, and we had to bring backpacks to carry our foulies all through Gibraltar,
It was
and
a thing.
we put them back on when we went back to the boat. It was so
Well,
rough.
If you look and you see these little specks, those are actually the super tankers, and they're 1,000 feet long,
So it's a huge basin.
and they're tiny on this.
Yeah.
So that was the issue. So no protection from the wind, and we're anchored there waiting for the wind to calm down so that we could then go into the med. So as soon as it would have gotten nice, we left.
Yeah.
So it was rough.
It was rough. So reasons why it was a bad anchorage in summary.
Oh, wait, actually there's some other reasons.
Okay, go on.
Getting to shore.
Yeah,
It was a long way.
it was long.
Yeah, so you anchor in here, like this area, but then this is one marina and this is a separate marina, and that's not very clear when you're coming in by dinghy, so that was an issue. But the dinghy dock is all the way at the end here. So you literally, you're anchored out here somewhere. You can't anchor behind the breakwater because they have signs. So you have to go all that way.
It was a long, wet, choppy dinghy ride
Mm.
every time.
Yeah.
And then You get your dinghy in there. You have to pay.
Yep.
We had to pay every day to dock our dinghy. And then we had to stash our fowlies and walk about a kilometer, 2 kilometers.
Yeah, about a kilometer. Yeah.
About a kilometer into town. And that was just, it was 2
Kilometer
kilometers.
to the British border.
Yeah. So it was 2 kilometers to get into town.
Yeah,
To
and all
any-
the good food was on the British side.
Of course.
So like you want pizza,
Which
you
is
want
funny
fish and
because
chips.
usually England is not known for their food, but the food was really good.
Yeah, it was so much better. But it was hilarious because the British finished dinner much earlier. So if you missed the dinner time at the restaurants and they were all closed, you just go back to Spain. They were starting their dinner now. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. It was an adventure. There wasn't any facility for like laundry or anything nearby the dinghy dock at all.
Yeah.
So we walked for like a mile carrying all our laundry, and it was not good.
Yeah. Now, one thing, in Gibraltar, they have the best chandler I've found since West Marine in the States.
Yeah, it was
So
fantastic.
That was
It was a long walk.
such a long walk to it, but so worth it.
If you
I
have
think it was called
bikes,
Shepherds.
we
or
could have
something.
biked.
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah.
But no, then we'd have to get the bikes to shore.
Well, we didn't have bikes at the time.
Still, getting the bikes to shore would have been a horrible.
It would have been
mess.
terrible. Yes,
Yeah.
they would have been salty bikes.
So Gibraltar was a mess.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, a fun thing. While we were anchored there one day, I saw this boat come out, and the people were all up in their fowlies, and I'm like, "What are they doing?" And then they put out their storm sails, and they were practicing their storm tactics. Like they were heaving to around us.
Because it was stormy.
It was that bad
In the
in the
Anchorage.
Anchorage that people were practicing storm sailing.
Yep.
Not good.
Do not recommend.
Nope.
If you have the money to dock in a marina in Gibraltar, I highly recommend it because it is such an amazing place to go to.
But I did the math for our boat. It was something like 200 and some euros per day, which is why we didn't do it.
Are your bikes of the folding variety?
So Maddie's the one that we had at the time. Yes.
I got a bike way back
In Easton.
in Easton, in the
In the Eastern
very
Shore,
beginning
yeah,
of our
of
trip.
Maryland.
Yeah. And it is so rusty. I don't know if it's alive. I don't think it is. It crossed the ocean. Herbie's died.
Mine died a miserable
Yeah.
rusty death.
So we bought some bikes that we've been using on this van trip, and they are great. And we will not be taking them on the boat because they're huge. UK never had the
Oh
euro.
yeah. So in
Right.
England, if
It's
you paid in
pounds.
euros, they gave you change in pounds.
Yeah, they actually, because Gibraltar is like where it is, they accepted euros, pounds, and dollars.
Nope.
No dollars? Euros and pounds.
Euros and pounds, but when you took money out of the ATM, it gave you the option of do you want euros or pounds. But if you paid in euros, they charged you a fee because it wasn't pounds. So we paid in pounds. And
We paid in pounds.
yeah, because
Yeah.
fees. No. All right. So next place.
That was Gibraltar.
Yes.
They took euros in Gibraltar. They do, kind of.
They do, but then all right, so like you buy a burger and it's 10 pounds for the burger and you pay with euros. They then charge you a fee because it's not in pounds. And then your change comes in pounds. So you end up getting pounds that way, if that makes sense.
It really wasn't a big deal.
Yeah,
It's not that much of a fee.
Yeah, they took the euros. It's
Yeah.
just they preferred pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next place was beautiful.
Nassau.
Yes.
We're back in the Bahamas.
So by Nassau, we actually mean the island of New Providence.
hmm
But if we said New Providence, people wouldn't know.
Everyone calls it Nassau
Yeah, the
because
whole
that's
island.
the biggest city on the island. And it's kind of isn't it the, you wouldn't say capital.
I want to say it's the capital of the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's like the main city of the Bahamas.
It's the big one. It's
Yeah.
where Atlantis hotels are.
Right.
They're not in the other places.
So Nassau, or this island,
Yeah.
had very little to offer in terms of anchorage. And we needed to get to a post office because I needed to mail a painting commission.
So this is the island of New Providence.
The
And
yellow
Nassau
part, yeah.
is, no, the whole thing.
Well, yeah, the yellow and gray part.
Yeah, so Nassau is this over here. We anchored over here because all these little red spots are rocks, which
Yeah.
is fun.
There were no anchorages near actual Nassau.
Yeah, well, there's the anchorage in Nassau, but the problem is you need to go really fast because there's ferries and cruise ships and a lot of stuff, and they don't have patience for people.
It is the capital. Thank you, Greg.
Yes. And then the other problem, since everyone anchors there, the bottom's pretty much scoured, so there's a big issue with holding. So we just didn't go there because we knew ahead of time that that was going to be a bad anchorage. So we anchored in this other place.
So we anchored in this place that was actually good holding.
It was beautiful.
It was great holding.
Great, nice uniform sand.
But
yeah,
the
it was
land
issue.
So far. I'm okay. So it
okay.
was.
This is the beautiful spot.
Here's us being really pretty.
And this is.
That's how far away we are. This is us,
yep.
I believe. So once we finally got to shore, that's how far away we were, and it's because it's very shallow all the way.
Yeah. So it's this nice big sandy patch.
And what we saw in avionics was, oh look, civilization.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to get some dinner or, anything.
Yeah, so we saw beach and road. So we're like, all right, we can beach the dinghy and then walk on the road and go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the issue is that this whole section is owned by really rich Dutch people who pay the Nassau police to keep everyone off the beach.
So it's not technically a private beach, but they
the
made it
cops,
one.
Yeah, the cops that can arrest you because they're the police. When you come in there, they tell you you can't come here. You have leave.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So we explained our situation to the guy. He, like we said, we're from that boat right there. We're not staying the night. We're just can you just make an exception for us for a second?
Yeah. So that
for
one
an afternoon.
day, that guy, he looked the other way.
He did. It was nice of him.
But
he also kept
back.
an eye on the dinghy because it was a weird open situation.
Yeah.
So we went to shore. We snuck onto.
So Kevin Smith said police state how many? So the police were not stopping people from coming ashore there, but the people that own property there were paying the police to keep people off of there, which is illegal because technically you're paying a cop to do your bidding. But it's the Bahamas, so that's how they do.
The cop guy, he was actually really nice.
Yeah. Part of the issue was we happened to be pulling our dinghy up.
Yeah, I know that is kind of even worse.
So we're pulling our dinghy up in front of the house of the guy that paid that cop.
Yeah.
So he was like, hide it under that tree where he won't see it, and all these things. It was
sketchy. And then there was this resort that we kind of
walked through. Yeah, people were nice and let us through it.
We just kind of acted like we belonged there, except we were wearing really ratty clothing and everyone there was super dressed up.
Yeah, full on what do you think of sailboat people with the blue blazer with the bronze buttons?
Yeah, they were really hoity-toity and we were just
in a hoodie and some shorts and yeah. Oh.
So anyway, we ended up having to pay a taxi to get to Nassau itself because it was really far away, and that taxi cost $50.
It was a lot.
It was $50.
Yeah, it was
one way.
It was bad.
So I was like, well, this painting was worth it.
Yeah.
But
well, so then for our return visits to shore, so we're anchored in this area. We dinghied all the way over to here to this marina, where we then pay a lot of money by the foot for a tiny dinghy, which thankfully tiny dinghy, so it wasn't too expensive. It came out to be $20 or $30 to have it there for the day.
Yeah, I think it was 20. It was too much.
It was a lot of money for dinghy dock. Yeah.
Based on the opening picture, have you considered using beaching legs?
Yes, except that no, because there are
by Ozri. Thanks for joining us.
So beaching legs, to people who don't know what they are, you have your boat and it sits upright, and then in the areas where the tide goes out all the way, people usually have bilge keels. That way the boat just stands on the bottom and everything's fine. But if you don't have a bilge keel and you have a single keel, you then have these little legs that bolt to your boat and then keep you from tipping. Now the issue with beaching legs is you need to know what the bottom is, because if the foot sinks in, well, it's worthless. There's a whole bunch of other problems that go into it, and then it's extra holes into the boat. And it's extra stress at those points, and then we have to carry these things. So I thought about it, and those are my thoughts. So I didn't do them. So
thanks for the question.
Yes.
So that's pretty much Nassau. It was just a bad place to anchor. I would not recommend it.
Yeah, it's beautiful if you want to just anchor there and not go to shore.
Yeah.
The snorkeling was exceedingly uneventful because a lot of sand. I went in because I'm
there was no
snorkeling,
life.
and it's just all sand.
Yeah, no life there.
Yeah. Okay, next place. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
We are back in the Chesapeake Bay.
Yes.
Um,
Oh wait, what do you think is the best dinghy? That is such a loaded
that is,
question.
oh man, we may have
We'll do
to
another one on that.
do like a blog post on that and then further it up with a video. That's a
Well,
really
yeah,
tough question.
That one we'll do a video on
But I
because
will
that is its
say,
own topic.
really short version is it totally depends on the cruiser and the type of cruiser you are. And where you're cruising.
And my personal opinion is both are best.
Yeah.
Because they are both awesome and both suck. So, but we'll go into it. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh,
Thanks for that.
Best thing is the one you own or the one you're building.
No.
Okay. Oh yeah. Someone that said that's like asking about anchors.
It
Which is
is.
the best anchor? I can answer what is the best anchor really fast. A mantis. Yep.
We'll
pretty
leave it
much.
at that.
And that's not sponsored. Like we paid for our anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just quite good. Okay.
After doing a lot of research, that's the anchor we chose, and there's a big reason.
And the Mantis M1. There's the new M2 out, which I don't like some things about it.
Rockna.
Yeah, Rock. Okay. Oh, this is going down a rabbit hole. This will be another one. But super fast. Mantis and Rockna are pretty much identical, except if you bend your anchor, both of them will send you a replacement part. Problem is Rocknas are welded, so you have to get an entire anchor shipped to whatever country you're in. So you pay a lot on shipping. Or Mantis, they ship flat. So if you bend your shank, which is the most common thing, you just unbolt it, put it on, and get it, and you're good to go. So that's why we did a Mantis over Rockna, but both are really good.
Okay.
Yes, back to this. So this is Tangier Island in the Chesapeake.
All right, Tangier is a really cool place to visit in the Chesapeake. I think it's one of the coolest destinations you can go to. It's an island that is in the middle of the bay that has its own like separate community and history. The people there do not leave, and they have their own
generations
language. Like it's really weird.
It's interesting.
It's a tiny island. They're like 4 people in the high school currently.
Oh, so if you're talking, Greg says they have a little marina. If you are talking about Tangier, then yes, they do have a marina.
But unfortunately, yes. So we had to anchor way far away for a multitude of reasons.
So this is the island.
Mm-hmm.
We anchored down here. The little marina is in here. And if we pull up the chart, we anchored where it's deep enough for us to be. And the channel that ran in and comes out is super narrow. And 1, we go really slowly. And 2, the fishing boats that go through there don't like slow boats. And then 3, we'd heard right then that there'd been a whole bunch of silting. So that the channel that's listed to be 6 to 7 feet, when we draw 6.5, was actually around 4 feet at the time. So we didn't even try it.
The big problem with Tangier is if you want to visit it, you have to visit it now. Like
today. Well, no. As soon as the lockdown ends.
As soon as the lockdown ends. It's sinking. It's a really sad story, and I go into it in depth in the video that's in the comments. In the description of this video.
Yep.
I said so earlier, we included all the links to all of these anchorages, the videos that include these anchorages in the description. So you can, if you're interested in Tangier, please go check out that video.
Yeah. So when you go to Tangier, if you go in by the marina, you go in and then you're on the roads and you see this little town. It's beautiful and adorable and really quaint. But if you anchor where we did and then come in, it's a mile, and we were rowing.
We were rowing.
And you go through like half of the island that's too sunken for the houses there. So there's houses that are literally like half underwater.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It was really pretty. But it was a long row.
So the Beasties said, is the island sinking or is the water rising? It is actually both.
Yeah. It's a sad situation.
It's going quickly is what it is.
Yeah. And the people there, this has been their home for generations.
Yeah. So the really funny thing is when I was a kid, I visited there. And at that time, they would not sell to any foreigners. And literally you were a foreigner if you weren't from the island. Now they're selling to foreigners because they realize the island's sinking and their land's going to be worthless in a few years. So
Yeah.
They're selling to people who oddly are buying. But anyway. So that's Tangier.
So the reason this anchorage was bad was because we were forced to anchor so far away from the island.
Yeah.
Because it is really shallow all along the island. It's sinking, so it gets. I think that's why we didn't do the marina. It's all silted in.
The marina was really far to get to, so we rode a mile and made it to the bridge, which is actually the highest point on the island because everything's so flat and low, and we just climbed up the bridge like a troll. Yep.
Yeah, we did.
That's how we did that.
Well, the first time we did it, we actually
the first time we went
up on the beach.
Yeah.
And there's this long stretch of beach.
Yeah, we pulled up on this beach and then walked around the sandbar all the way up.
It was such a long walk.
It was really far. Which is why the second time we just rode a mile.
Anyway, yeah, it wasn't great. And we spent the night there. It was a very rocky night because obviously there was very little protection. And the Chesapeake Bay is quite choppy. But fun fact about Tangier Island is that 3 years prior to us being there, Herbie proposed to me off of Tangier Island.
Yes. Speaking of bad anchorages, when I would just anchor in the middle of the bay, quite far from Tangier, like about 6 miles from Tangier, out in the middle of the bay, there's this little shallow spot that's like about 20 feet deep or so. And we just put the anchor down on that, completely unprotected.
Yeah, but it was becalmed.
Oh, it was super calm. So we just anchored there.
It was sunset. It was becalmed.
Very romantic.
It was super romantic.
No kiss? Oh,
okay.
Yay.
So anyway, that's Tangier. Please go visit it if you can, but be careful with the anchoring and go to it if you have a motor on your dinghy.
Yeah. Or the other option is you take the ferry, which then you don't.
Oh, that's a way better option.
Yeah. Now the only thing with the
problem
ferry,
though, is everybody gets there at the same time and then it's super crowded.
And then all the locals that don't like people hide.
Oh, thank you so much, Sailors Republic.
Thank you.
That's really nice of you. Thanks.
So when you come in with the ferry, the locals that don't like foreigners go in their houses and hide. And then after the last ferry leaves, they come out and that's when you hear them talking.
That's when you can talk to them. I mean, they're actually...
We talked to the people.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried. Yeah.
But it was neat to be there at a time when the cruise ship or the ferry had left. And so all the locals were out and gabbing and having beer and ice cream and stuff.
It was nice.
The local little bar place. It was really sweet. It was nice. So we do recommend going there by boat, but with a dinghy outboard.
Yep. That's important. So our next place takes us 1,000 miles away from Tangier. And we know that because it's really far. It's
Tangier Island.
Yeah, Tangier Island.
In Chesapeake Bay.
Do they speak Old English? They do not. They speak their language.
It's okay, so it's like English. I mean, it is English.
It's an English dialect.
But it is such a weird dialect. It's literally nowhere else.
Yeah, it's like how in the Outer Banks they talk the Hoytoid language. It's English, but it's not. Well, Tangier has their language, and then Smith Island, which is just north of them, has its own language as well.
Which they're called that because John Smith discovered Smith Island
and then ran out of names
and literally saw Tangier and thought it looked like Tangier, Morocco,
which it does not.
Stupid.
Yeah, we're really excited to go to.
We were we've been to both Tangiers.
Yeah. We were really excited to see what did Tangier look like that he thought, and we're like, no, it does not look like Africa. So anyway, yeah.
So that was Tangier. So now we are in
number 9,
which is back in the ICW.
It's Lake Worth in Florida. Now, this Lake Worth is huge. It's got a lot of spots, and it actually was also in our top anchoring areas. The West Palm Beach anchorage was actually in Lake Worth. So this one
is just an anchorage that we do not suggest you go to.
Yeah, it's called Snook Island.
It is.
It is.
Here's us.
Yeah.
I mean, we got really nice pictures of us.
Yeah, so there's this cute bridge, so you can go get pretty pictures of your boat. So it's really nice.
Hold it a little closer.
Oh, so here's the important thing.
Other picture shows it better.
Here. All right, so this is your first clue. There's this white line coming off.
You can see it. I think so.
No, this is the wrong side.
Oh, okay. There was one.
There's one in here.
Oh,
No? Okay.
okay.
Well, so we had not a stern hook, but a spring anchor because we had to. So there was no space to swing. It was really shallow. People were dragging. So we had so much scope out to stop dragging that then we'd swing into the bridge and other boats and everything. So we put out another anchor to keep us from going into the channel.
So, side note to that, it's always really good if you don't carry 2 anchors on your boat. You really should.
Yeah.
You should always be prepared to drop a stern hook just in case.
So second anchor with its own rode
Yeah.
and like roll like a whole separate setup just on the back of the boat.
So we have a Denver.
Yeah, it's a fortress anchor.
Fortress.
It's a FX37. So like don't get a small anchor for your stern. Like get whatever you put on your bow again for the back.
Because in times like this, you need it. And the thing was,
Bonnie carries 3. Yeah.
Excellent.
We used to carry 4. Now we're down to 3.
Yeah.
One of ours became a lawn ornament.
It did.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, just as a side note, but the reason, this is such a bad anchor, but we were there anchored for like a week.
Yeah.
Because we were literally trapped.
Yeah, so what happened was so the reason we anchored in this bad anchorage is because all the other anchorages were full because there was this bridge that was under construction and it was not opening. So everyone trying to go north was like, didn't know it.
We couldn't get through the bridge. They didn't say like, oh, by the way, this bridge is under construction. You can't go any further.
Yeah, so everyone gets to the bridge and is like, crud. Because I don't want YouTube to flag us, so I'm not saying other words. But, so we get there and be like, crud. So then we had to anchor and everywhere was full. So this is where we anchored.
Yeah.
So.
So we anchored here because it looked cute. It was you could get pretty close to shore. It had good shore access. However,
so we anchored right in here. So there's this nice long pier, and we actually just tied up somewhere in this area with the dinghy, not the boat.
Yeah.
And then the anchorage. So there's this nice little hole that's deep, and then it gets really shallow everywhere around it.
So the anchorage is deceptively tiny, and there were 2 other boats sharing that anchorage with us.
Yep.
So it was super small, and the ground did not have good holding, which is why we had to drop 2 anchors.
Yeah.
Just if you're sailing down to Lake Worth this anchorage looks very tempting because it's got great shore access. It's right by a park.
Now,
I just don't recommend it.
And the problem is, it doesn't matter if there's wind or not because the current there is like really strong. So
you were? Oh man.
So they said that they were stuck behind the
Jacksonville Bridge for 2 days.
Yeah.
We did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yep. So
can you turn on that light?
Yeah.
Just realized the light is super
blowing?
harsh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's sunset here.
So that was that anchorage, which was that.
Yeah. So we're down to our last one. This is our 10th worst anchorage. It's the best out of all the worst anchorages we've had.
Now, fun fact. When we went through, there was a swing bridge, and they were constructing a giant fixed bridge just past it to replace this. And while I was looking up, hey, saludos. So,
Estamos muy bien.
Maddie's learning Spanish. So while this was under use, the other was under construction. Now the other one's built, so this is actually gone. So that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But
things change in 2 years.
So this is Surf City, where they have amazing ice cream.
We had a great experience in Surf City, but that experience was not linked to our anchorage or getting to shore.
Yeah. So the anchorage, great holding, super strong current, tiny area, no swing room.
Really bad shore access.
And no shore access. Yeah, we actually climbed over a fence that
we
said,
literally
do not climb.
Broke into Surf City.
Yeah.
Like, we climbed over a fence to get into Surf City.
So, this is the anchorage. This is where the swing bridge was. We were anchored like right in here. And then we just brought the dinghy to... Sorry, map is backwards.
There was this big long walkway, this wooden walkway into the city.
Yeah, we brought the dinghy up to here, and then we just literally hopped onto this, and then we're on town.
And it was a long dinghy ride.
And yeah, so this area looks like a great place to bring your dinghy, except that they're tied there is pretty impressive. So, like, to get on that, it was like scaling an 8-foot wall. It just wasn't going to happen. So we had to
fixed.
beach it. Yeah, it was a fixed pier.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the anchorage. So you can see super shallow, and no swim room. So we anchored like out here, as we always do, just out of the channel, still in the deep water. Yeah. That was Surf City.
Yeah.
Best ice cream. Oh, if you ever go there, it's the Thai ice cream. They make it in front of you, and it was amazing, and it was so good. But the anchoring there.
Surf City is the name of a Beach Boys song.
Oh.
It might be. It sounds like one if it's not.
Yeah. Also, down this
Still
way,
surfing now. Come on, everybody.
you have a bunch of marinas. So you can go in here and like pay, but
We just don't.
we don't do that. Yeah.
Menorca.
Bueno, I'm going to say this part in Spanish real fast, pero no podemos ir por infección que todo hay. Así que si vamos para allá, no sabemos si podemos regresar. Así que hasta ahora estamos pensando que vamos a regresar al barco y esperar ahí hasta que podamos, si todo se calma, entramos y vemos lo ibérico. Si no, vamos a salir para África, pero no sabemos ahora. So anyway, yes.
So that was our list of our top 10 worst anchorages. Hope we try as a channel to share our best and worst experiences, as you guys have seen, and so and so hopefully others can profit and learn from those. En el futuro Iberos. So we really hope you guys got something out of this video.
Yeah. Now, what are your worst anchorages?
We really want to hear your worst anchorages.
We will be reading them out loud.
So please let us know right now your worst anchorages. And if you're not watching this live, let us know in the comment section down below. And we are really excited to read them because we will be traveling back through the ICW, and we'll be going back to the Bahamas and all these places. Just to let you know, I have been watching, just had to say hi. Thanks. Hi, Dale. Good to see you. Great stuff, guys. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Did you get out of Austria? We're still here.
We're planning on leaving in a couple days.
Yep, Thursday.
Right, so
Grand Anche.
In Granada. Okay.
Okay, that's good to know. You can touch it.
Yeah, but it wasn't on Anchorage.
Oh.
And then,
awesome seeing you guys back to work. Okay.
Back by around Hampton, Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
And Fort Monroe.
That's good to know.
Yeah, these are places we'll be trying to avoid.
Yeah, so we're going to be going, like I said, we're going to be traveling back and more traveling in the future. So your comments are going to help us and everybody else.
Yes. Let's see.
I did one of those 45-degree overnights in the Abacos when I cut a shallow too close and a lowering tide. Yeah, we didn't even go to the Abacos because we were too worried about that.
Yeah, it's funny, like the Distant Shores people, Paul and Cheryl something. They have that boat with the swing keel, and like all their pictures, they beach their boat on the beach. And our Bahamas experience was, hey, we're gonna be like 2 miles that way because we can't get any closer to land.
Hi from Nova Scotia. Hi, Chelsea. That's Chesley. Hi.
Is that water or vodka?
This is water, everyone. Water. I even tried the thing where you hang stuff off the mast to lean over more. Yeah.
We've tried that too. It's just, you just have to wait for the tide. It's just not going to happen.
It's cute to have hope.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was more, it got me out of the boat, so I wouldn't drive Maddie crazy while I was like trying to figure out how to get off the bottom.
What are you talking about? You never drive me crazy.
Okay, well, I guess no stories. Oh, wait a minute.
Greenland, good anchorage, but pulling up the anchor, my hands freezing to the ice lumps. Oh, that's awful.
Wow.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh my gosh, it would be amazing to sail to Greenland one day. We won't.
Yeah.
We will not.
But on a completely unrelated note about Greenland being cold as all get out.
Something in your eye there? Yes. Glad you noticed that. Thanks.
Yes. So with the Dyneema in the cold, with the how it expands or how it elongates as it gets colder. The question was, do the different fibers all elongate at the same rate? And yes, they all elongate at the exact same coefficient. So That is that.
Greenland.
Well, Greenland is really cold, so if we were to sail to Greenland with our aluminum mast and Dyneema rigging, it would be really bad.
Yeah.
But if we went with a wooden mast,
Or an aluminum boat. Don't most people sail to Greenland in aluminum boats?
yeah, most people go that north in metal.
Yeah.
But I was getting at a wooden mast wouldn't have the stretch issue. As you can tell, I'm the crazy one in this.
All right, guys.
Yep. Well, this has been fun.
Please leave your bad anchorage stories in the comments down below.
And also, if anyone wants to talk the anchors, we can do another live like right now, just as a separate video.
No, we can't. I'm starving.
Oh, Maddie's hungry, so sorry, guys.
I got a lot of editing to do.
Well, the anchor one, the anchor and the dinghy, those two are like great for conversations.
Dutch Globetrotter says, in the dinghy thing, I think Super Yacht Ace wins that one. It has its own support ship called Garson.
Multiple ribs and help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those super yachts are amazing. Get the bowsprit first, then try for the nose.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So guys, don't forget to like this video if you haven't yet. Thank you so much to those who donated money. That really goes a long way.
Greg asked when do we leave to go back to Spain. We're planning Thursday.
Yep, we're leaving here Thursday. So we're really looking forward to seeing Wisdom again.
Thank you for the wishes for a safe trip back.
Yes. Stay safe. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
We don't know what the internet situation is going to be, so therefore, yeah.
Stephen Paul has a quick story. Not technically anchoring, but the waiting mooring buoys outside Peel Harbor on the Isle of Man in a northwesterly blow were awful. like washing machine. Wow, gosh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
No desires to ever be in a washing machine. Thank you.
Yeah, we've done that enough.
Yeah. All
That's
right. So guys, thanks so much for watching, for joining us for these 3 live videos.
Yeah.
We definitely like this format and can't wait to do more in the future. We don't know what our internet is going to be like.
And Tila will give you a call before we leave.
And yeah, Tila will let you know when we're leaving. And yeah, don't forget to like and comment and check out our Sunday episodes as usual. If you haven't seen the Gibraltar one, go check it out now.
Yeah, and if you have friends that you think would like the channel, let them know.
Give us a little shout out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay home, wear those masks, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. It's up there.